Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Elderly people should not ignore these 8 signs. A stroke could come within 30 days. Every 6 seconds, someone in the world dies from a stroke. That number is not only startling, but also brings up a painful truth. According to the World Stroke Organization, more than 80% of strokes are completely preventable if detected and intervened promptly. The worrying thing is that many of them have noticed unusual signs, only they did not expect that they were actually warning bells from their bodies. No one thinks that a sudden headache, a feeling of numbness on one side of the body, or suddenly feeling tired one day can be a sign of an approaching stroke. We easily attribute it to stress, insomnia, changes in weather, or age. But in medicine, nothing is coincidental if it keeps repeating, becoming more and more obvious. As a doctor, I have seen many patients after a stroke burst into tears saying that they had these signs before, but ignored them because they thought it was okay. If you are watching this video, you have the opportunity to do differently. You can listen to your body seriously, and more importantly, you can share this knowledge with your loved ones, who may be at risk without even knowing it. In today's video, I will help you identify 8 warning signs of a stroke that can appear up to a month in advance. These are not symptoms you should panic about, but signals that need to be listened to as soon as possible. Not only that, I will also share 9 of the most effective stroke prevention tips, validated by clinical research and recommended by cardiovascular and neurological associations around the world. Each tip is based on facts, not hearsay or hearsay. These are things that can help you significantly reduce your risk of stroke by up to 40% with just one small change in your lifestyle. If you've ever felt scared by the word stroke, this video not only offers answers, but also hope. Watch until the end. It might be the most important video you'll see this year. To understand why these signs are so dangerous, you first need to know that a stroke is not a single event, but rather the result of a series of disturbances in the brain circulatory system. There are essentially 2 main types of stroke. The most common type, accounting for 80–85% of all cases, is an ischemic stroke, which occurs when a blood vessel becomes blocked, preventing blood from reaching an area of the brain. Hemorrhagic strokes, on the other hand, are less common, but they are particularly dangerous because they occur when a blood vessel bursts, causing bleeding in the brain and destroying surrounding brain tissue in just minutes. Although the causes are different, both types of strokes have one thing in common: they never come without warning. Your body is almost always sending signals. It's just whether you pay attention or not. And here are the first signs, which can sometimes be so subtle that you might think you're fine. 1. Abnormal blood pressure. No symptoms doesn't mean no risk. High blood pressure is a silent enemy of blood vessels, and according to the World Health Organization, it is the leading risk factor for stroke. The danger is that people often get used to high numbers without realizing that their blood vessels are already starting to be damaged from the inside. In particular, if you measure your blood pressure and the index regularly exceeds 140/90 mmHg, be alert. It is no longer a little high, but a clear warning from the body. 2. Unusual headaches. There is a type of headache that makes the doctor order an immediate brain scan, severe pain, sudden onset, and unlike any pain you have ever experienced. Many stroke survivors report having a lightning strike just a few days before the event, especially if the pain is accompanied by blurred vision, vomiting, dizziness. You should not hesitate. A study in the journal Stroke found that 14% of hemorrhagic stroke patients had an unusually severe headache within a week before the event. 3. Paralysis of the body. It may seem like numbness due to sleeping in the wrong position, but if this feeling lasts, recurs, or is accompanied by loss of strength, you should get checked immediately. The truth is, the left brain controls the right side of the body and vice versa, so when there is vascular damage in one hemisphere, the opposite side will speak up first. It's not always numbness. Sometimes it's just a weaker arm than usual, or a slight pins and needles sensation, but that can be the only sign before a stroke. 4. Sudden loss of balance. A healthy person suddenly walks like a drunk, can't walk straight, or stumbles easily. That's a warning sign. It's possible that the cerebellum, The Center for Coordinating Movement is temporarily lacking blood. I once met a patient who was brought in by his family because he fell over and over for no apparent reason, only to discover after an MRI that there was a small blockage in the brain. If you or a loved one suddenly starts to stagger, don't blame fatigue or the weather. It could be your brain calling for help. 5. Speech disorder. You're having a conversation and suddenly you're stuttering, having trouble finding the right words, or repeating meaningless phrases. Or worse, you can still speak, but you can't understand what the other person is saying. This is a sign of a disorder in the Broca's or Wernicke's areas, two language processing regions in the left hemisphere of the brain. According to the American Stroke Association, nearly 30% of strokes have speech disorders early on. Unfortunately, many people ignore it because they think they're stressed or temporarily forgetful. 6. Unusual exhaustion. Feeling tired can have many causes, but persistent exhaustion, even when you've had enough sleep, is a sign to be concerned about. Your body may be distributing blood less efficiently to your brain, reducing your energy and ability to recover. Some recent studies have even shown that pre-stroke fatigue can occur up to a few weeks earlier, especially in older people. If you feel like you're not yourself, trust your instincts and see a doctor. 7. Clumsy movements. You drop things more often, have trouble turning your wrist when opening a bottle, or feel like one of your limbs isn't as flexible as usual. It's not because of age. It could be fine motor dysfunction, one of the silent but characteristic signs of motor ischemia, and it could be the first and only message before a stroke actually occurs. Many patients ignore this symptom until they can't tie their shoes one morning. 8. Vision changes, sudden blurred vision, blurred or double vision, distorted light, all can be the result of disrupted blood flow to the visual field. A study by the American Academy of Ophthalmology found that up to 25% of stroke patients had experienced vision changes within the previous month. Don't wait until you lose your sight to take action. Even a small change in vision can be a big sign if it happens suddenly and without an obvious cause. Most people only really care about a stroke after it happens. But modern medicine doesn't wait for an emergency to act. Strokes aren't fate, they're consequences. And consequences are completely preventable if you make the right changes today. Here are 9 prevention strategies that have been proven effective, not just in theory, but in the thousands of real-life stories I've seen throughout my career. 1. Cut back on salt. Your usual meals could be killing you because they're too salty. But in reality, most of us consume twice as much without even realizing it, because salt is hidden in fish sauce, ready-to-eat foods, instant noodles, or even bread. Research published in The Lancet shows that cutting salt intake properly can reduce the risk of stroke by up to 40%. If you can change this, you have won right in the kitchen. 2. Control sugar. Someone asked me, "Doctor, I don't eat sweets. Why do I have high blood sugar?" And I answered that sugar doesn't just come from sweetness. White rice, noodles, canned juices are all silent culprits. High blood sugar damages the lining of blood vessels, leading to the formation of atherosclerotic plaques and increasing the risk of cerebral thrombosis. A study in diabetes care confirms people with diabetes are 2 to 4 times more likely to have a stroke than people without diabetes. Don't wait until your vision is blurry or your hands are numb to check your blood sugar. Be proactive, even if you feel fine. 3. Stop smoking. If there's one thing I want you to stop doing today, it's smoking. Every cigarette you smoke not only damages your lungs, but also thickens your blood, narrows your blood vessels, and raises your blood pressure, all of which are the triggers for stroke. And don't think switching to e-cigarettes is safe. Recent studies show that vaping is just as damaging to the lining of your blood vessels. You're not just poisoning yourself, but also those around you. Breaking the habit isn't easy, but it's worth it for a long, sober life. 4. Reduce blood fat. Cholesterol is not the culprit. The problem lies in the imbalance. LDL, the bad type, When high will easily stick to the artery walls and create plaque. HDL, the good type, helps to wash them away. A 30-year-old person who does not smoke, does not have diabetes, can accept an LDL level of 130 mdl, but for people with high blood pressure, overweight, and little exercise, that index can be a dangerous threshold. According to the latest recommendations from ESC 2021 European Society of Cardiology, people who have had a cardiovascular event should keep LDL below 70, even 55. Remember, the same number, but the risk is never the same. 5. Exercise regularly. Not everyone likes to exercise, but exercise is not for competition. It is for healthy living. Just 150 minutes a week, that is 30 minutes a day, you have significantly reduced the risk of stroke. It could be brisk walking, yoga, jumping rope, swimming, dancing, anything that gets your heart pumping and makes you feel good. I once had a patient in his 60s who started doing Tai Chi every morning after a mild stroke. 2 years later, he was much healthier than he was when he was 50. Your body always thanks you for moving. 6. Maintain your weight. Don't underestimate those few pounds of belly fat. Visceral fat secretes cytokines, inflammatory mediators that damage blood vessels from the inside. Research from the Journal of Stroke shows that an extra tankum around the waist increases the risk of stroke by 30%. The important thing is not to get to the perfect body, but to lose dangerous fat. Losing 5–10% of your weight can improve your blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, and pull you out of the danger zone. Instead of obsessing over your weight, focus on your journey to a healthier life. 7. Improve your sleep. A night of loud snoring doesn't just affect the person next to you, it can also damage your own nervous system. Sleep apnea is a silent culprit that can lead to increased blood pressure at night, metabolic disorders, and a threefold increased risk of stroke. If you wake up tired, have a headache, gasp for air in the middle of the night, or are told you have sleep apnea, don't ignore it. A simple sleep monitor can help detect the condition, and treatment, sometimes as simple as changing your position, losing weight, or using a breathing machine, can be life-saving. Eat. Measure your blood pressure at home. You can wear shoes that fit well but still feel pain because your feet swelled that day. The same goes for blood pressure. Measurements taken in the hospital can sometimes be misleading. White coat hypertension and masked hypertension are two sides of the same coin, making misdiagnosis and mistreatment easy. Therefore, you should have a monitor at home. Measure regularly in the morning and evening while resting. Monitoring blood pressure is not to worry every day, but to understand your body and give your doctor a more accurate picture of your cardiovascular health. 9. Atrial fibrillation screening. Many people collapse, not because of cholesterol embolism, but because of blood clots from the heart. Atrial fibrillation, the most common type of heart rhythm disorder, is the culprit behind millions of strokes worldwide. There are cases where the electrocardiogram in the hospital is completely normal, but wearing a 24-hour monitor only detects transient atrial fibrillation. If you have ever felt your heart pounding, palpitations for no apparent reason, do not ignore it. A simple test, an anticoagulant pill, can change your entire future. We cannot control every event, but we can completely control how we prepare for it. Strokes do not come as suddenly as many people think. It often sends silent signals, sometimes very early. If you pay attention, listen, and act in time, the risk can be significantly reduced. If you have followed this far, I believe that you are truly concerned about your health or the health of your loved ones. Small changes in lifestyle, such as adjusting your diet, monitoring your blood pressure, getting enough sleep, and maintaining regular exercise, are the first steps to help you go further on the journey of stroke prevention. I invite you to leave a comment below, share your feelings after watching the video, or recount a related personal experience. Maybe you have experienced one of the 8 warning signs we just mentioned, or maybe you are applying one of the 9 prevention strategies and want to share how effective it is. Whatever it is, I look forward to hearing your story. Please subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying in the upcoming content. In the next video, we will explore a topic that many people are interested in: which is a scientific diet to support the cardiovascular system and reduce the risk of stroke. Foods to prioritize, foods to avoid, and how to build a menu that is both healthy and easy to apply in daily life. Thank you for taking the time to listen. See you in the next video, where health is always a top priority.